In a previous video, I talked about why the intermediate age is such a fantastic age to explain what is sex and have other sex talks. Linda commented, "So should I approach the topic even if my 8-year-old hasn't brought it up? I'm worried I will give him too much information when he's not ready to hear it and understand it." Linda, you are not alone. I've had parents on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook ask me this exact same question. So let's address it. This is a common fear for many parents when it comes to having the sex talks. They're worried that they're going to be telling their kids too much too soon and it'll just be too overwhelming for their kid. Now, I could point to the research that says you can have the sex talks with your 8-year-old and why it's beneficial to do so. I can tell you from my first person experience as a sex ed teacher that kids are curious about sex and they want a trusted adult who will answer their questions in a non-judgmental way. Or I can share with you stories of people that I personally know who have lived in fear or hid their sexual orientation or gender identity from their parents because they were afraid their parents would react negatively. Young people who have shared with me that their parents talked to them about sex and honestly answered their sex questions have never said that it harmed them to learn about sex growing up. But there have been folks who have said if only they knew what oral sex was at 8 years old, maybe they would have had the knowledge and skills to have stopped their abuse. So as a sex ed expert, do I recommend that you approach this topic even though your 8-year-old hasn't brought it up? Yes, I do. I love giving free parenting advice around the sex talks here on my YouTube channel, and I appreciate every one of you who have liked my videos and have subscribed. But as parents, I know that sometimes we need just a little reassurance. I'm Kathleen, and I've just launched my website, kathleenhema.com, where you can book a one-on-one consult with me. Most parents are not prepared or ready to start the sex talks. Many of them know that they will need to have the sex talks at some point in time, but then they'll say, well, not right now. I don't have to start right now. Well, you do need to prep yourself and practice what you're going to say. But since your kid isn't asking questions, you get to initiate the conversation and you can plan out what you want to say and how you're going to say it. All right, so here's the formula. Give your kid medically accurate information in an age-appropriate way and then include your family values. Your kid's in the intermediate age, and the great news about the intermediate age is that the questions are usually pretty straightforward. What is sex? Medically accurate answer. How do sperm get out of the penis? Medically accurate answer. What's masturbation? Medically accurate answer. Get comfortable answering these questions factually. They're all questions that are usually asked at some point during the intermediate age. So if your kid's not asking, how do you bring it up? Here are 3 ways you can initiate the conversation. Now, the cold open during the intermediate age usually isn't awkward for the kid because they're always learning new things and they're happy to learn from you. But for many parents, this can feel abrupt. It's just going for it and getting it started, and it can sound something like this. I want to explain to you what sex is. Have you heard the term sex before? Many kids your age may hear this word sex in TV and movies and may even read about it in magazines or books. Sex can mean a person's reproductive system, having a male or female reproductive system. Or it can mean vaginal, anal, or oral sex. And then right here, parents, you'll explain what is sex. Teachable moments are opportunities that present itself in everyday activities or interactions that give you the chance to bring up a sex ed topic and explain it. Seeing a family member or a friend who's pregnant, you can ask your kid, do they understand how pregnancy occurs? Or when you're watching a show together where characters are making out and then one of them stops and says something like, I don't think we should do this, explaining what do this is referring to. Or if there's a TV poster on a bus that says Sex Education Season 2, taking the moment to ask your kid, do you understand what that TV poster is saying? What is sex education? These are all examples of teachable moments that affords you the opportunity to bring up the topic using your surroundings. If you have some funds available, go and buy some sex ed books for your kids in the intermediate age. I've got a few links to book recommendations in the description below. But don't just give your kid these books. You've got to read it with them. But if your kid has never asked a sex question, maybe start with some books that are intended for kids in the primary age. And this way, you can ease into the sex conversations by covering things like where do babies come from and basic anatomy and physiology. Or you can start with a book on puberty changes, both physical and emotional, and then this could lead to explaining sex. Learning about one's own body, like how to clean it, how to take care of it, how to talk about all the body parts, including the genitals, how to identify what's normal and abnormal or what's healthy and unhealthy, how to say no or yes to someone who wants to touch, cuddle, or kiss them can all be taught to children at any age. All the reasons why they need to learn about their body and what feels good and what doesn't, and how to communicate that to themselves, their doctor, and potentially a sexual partner in the future is not just learned from one talk. So for example, after explaining what is sex, vaginal, anal, oral, you can say something to the effect of, sex is not something children do. And I want you to know what is sex, because if a person, whether it's an adult or a child, says that they want to have sex with you, you know that that's not okay to do because you are a child and children don't have sex. But maybe one day when you're an adult, you may choose to have sex with another adult. That's how I would recommend to keep it age appropriate for a child in the intermediate age. We all have values, and we all have values about sex. Your values may be influenced by your religion or culture, or you may have personal beliefs about sex that you would like to share with your child. Identify your values and share them with your child. So for example, after you've explained what is sex and you've then shared age-appropriate information about who can engage in sex, you can then say, in our family, we believe that an adult can have sex when they're married, they're in a committed relationship, they've identified all the potential positive and negative consequences and have discussed them with their partner and are prepared to prevent or deal with the outcomes. You get it. Share your values. Parents, your kid is ready to learn from you. It's my intention here to guide you so that you feel prepared to have these talks. The information I give here is generalized, but if you want some tailored advice or want to just talk with me one-on-one, I've got you. I offer one-on-one parent consultations on my website, and you can book a 30-minute call with me. It's kathleenhema.com, and it is linked in the description. If you found this video to be helpful, go on and give it a like. I'm Kathleen, and of course, I'll be back next week with another video.